Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here and welcome back to another video for Pokemon Unite today. Today we're talking about the Unite with the squad. What's up guys? How are you doing?
Good to be back.
So we're talking about this because obviously, you know, as you guys seen over the past few days and whatnot, we've been dropping some Unite videos. We've been all, you know, kind of enjoying it to varying degrees. Obviously Paradise has been playing it probably the most. I mean, he is I would say Paradise is #1 Pokemon fan out of us when it comes to like some of those games, and he likes his MOBAs, so it makes sense. But we've obviously been doing some of the videos. I've enjoyed some of the gameplay stuff and kind of learning it, especially given that for me, you know, I haven't played as many. I did a bit of time on League, but I'm definitely no MOBA veteran, so as I'm sure you guys noticed from my gameplay, but I feel like I made a distinct improvement from my Gengar video to my Greninja video. But anyway, we wanted to kind of discuss it today, just kind of talk about what we're enjoying with the game, talk about how it's going, also kind of just like discuss the monetization model, because it's the sort of thing where some of you guys have said on the channel that, you know, you've enjoyed the content, you want to sort of see more stuff, but I also want to make sure that we're always really mindful of this thing, because it is a free-to-play game. You can download it, pay absolutely nothing, and enjoy yourself. But there are, of course, components, which we'll touch on shortly, where you can buy them to get some advantages, and often that is a stance where we're pretty against that in pretty much, you know, most games. Like, it's fine if you want to buy some cosmetics, but if there's any kind of pay to win, normally you're just like, I'm not even interested. But Pokemon Unite, interestingly, like, people just seem to be enjoying it regardless. So I thought we'd kind of just sort of talk about that today anyway, get a feel for it, see what you guys think, let us know your kind of like thoughts down below, and if everyone's enjoying it, we can of course also continue to do some more videos on it. But yeah, let's just kind of start with like initial impressions. Like Paradise, you've been playing it probably the most. How are you getting on with the game?
Well, let me drop my MOBA credentials, okay?
Sure. Here we go.
In League, I played like Season 1, 2, 3, which is a long time ago now. I'm not even sure what season they're on. They're probably like, I think they're like Season 10 or something higher. But when I played, I was Diamond rank. That's the highest I got to, and that's sort of where I ended up, and then I effectively quit. In this, I am about level 16 or 17. I have just over 100 matches. So I played it, you know, a fair bit. And I am someone that innately likes MOBA games. I get a little addicted to them. I think a lot of people do. So I try to stay away, but like, it's Pokemon and it's a MOBA and it's free. So I was like, I have to try this out and give it a shot, you know. The first thing, I just want to talk about the actual game in comparison to League of Legends and Dota. I have played Dota as well, just not as much as I played League back in the day. The first thing to say is that it is more, I would say, a more simplified, more casual kind of MOBA play mode. It doesn't have gold, so you do still need to CS, but your XP is shared, and there's no items to buy, so all of your stats are like baked into your level ups, right? So there's a layer of complexity removed there, because in League you have to hit the last hits to get the gold, then you have to time when you're going back to base to buy the next like power spike item, as well as plan your build ahead pre-match, and all that kind of stuff, and learn all of that. So that's removed from the game, so it's literally just tag mobs, level up, get more powerful. And on one hand, I really like that about the game. It takes away like a difficulty curve for a lot of people, and a lot that you need to learn and remember. So it's a lot easier to jump into. On the other hand, it does remove that layer of complexity, and it does mean that there's less variety in what you can build. The flip side is that you have items, which is a point of contention for a lot of people, because instead of having gold in game that you farm creeps to get items, instead you have items that you set to your characters before the game starts that you buy with the in-game currency that you can either pay or get for free while playing. Now, I do want to point out, though, that in League, at least when I used to play, it has changed since. When I used to play, there used to be runes in League of Legends. Like, real OG League players will remember the runes and the rune table, and you could buy those with the free-to-play currency, and I'm pretty sure I remember you could buy those with the premium currency in League, like, way back in the day as well. So that was a similar system to the item system in Pokemon Unite, where you had runes in League that give you stats, and in Pokemon you have items that give you stats, and they all do different things, and you can also level up those items in Pokemon Unite. But I think we'll get onto the items in that discussion a little later on.
Yeah.
So that's like...
Could you buy runes in League of Legends? I thought it was only the rune pages that you could buy.
I'm pretty sure you could buy the runes. It was years ago, so my memory might be a bit spotty, and I have seen other people saying that online, that, oh yeah, you could actually buy those back in the day as well. I think I do remember that. I remember there was different like rarity and sizes of runes as well, I'm pretty sure. But this was all years ago, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that was the case. So there's similarities between the two, but to hone in on Unite a bit more, so the items and the gold is taken away. It's all baked into your levels. But as well as that, the map's actually a bit smaller, and there's only 2 lanes in a jungle. So instead of having top, middle, bot, you now have top, bot, jungle. Or center lane, as they call it, like top lane, bot lane, center lane. So it's a simplified map, a smaller map with simplified mechanics in that you don't have all the items and having to get the last hits on the CS, on the creeps to get your CS up. And that, to me, makes it so much more enjoyable to just jump in without having to spend hours looking up builds and the exact like things I need to be doing, and I have to be making sure I'm getting this creep score, otherwise I can't get my build and then we lose. That being said, you do still have to really focus on creep score, because if you fall behind, if you're like 2 levels behind, you're going to get destroyed. That's kind of how the game is, right? If you out level them, you're going to beat them because your stats are just so much stronger. At that
that's
point.
kind of expected, right? So
There's extra things in there as well. So you don't have the Dragon and you don't have Baron that League of Legends has. If you don't know, in League of Legends, Dragon used to be a team-wide gold drop, and they've since upgraded it to a team-wide buff, depending on what type of dragon it is. So it might be an attack buff or a movement speed buff for the whole team. And then you had Baron, which was like this uber powerful like buff. You get a huge chunk of gold. The whole party gets like a damage reduction buff, increased mana, and all kinds of other stuff. Whereas in this, you have Rotom on the top lane, who you take out as an NPC, and then he sort of charges towards the enemy lane. And then you also have Dreadmore at the bottom, who gives like a party-wide shield buff and XP buff. And then later on, you have the legendary Zapdos in the middle, which I really want to hear what you guys think of Zapdos, because I have a pretty set in stone opinion on it.
No, we'll definitely get to that in a bit. But I mean, just to kind of just cut in there first. I mean, like 2Six, obviously you jumped in a little bit after us the other day, right? So like, how's your experience been? Because I know you were sort of a little bit kind of like mixed on it, right? Like, how are you feeling about it?
I think I like the core gameplay of the actual game in terms of like how simplified it is in terms of a MOBA, because I've always liked like RTSs, but I found MOBAs for some reason very difficult to get in, maybe because I was late to the party, so I didn't like grow up with MOBAs, so it's kind of like relearning some stuff and like the mechanics and stuff like that. But I've been doing pretty well in this one, and I'm like, oh, zap Pikachu, but everything around the game just feels off to me, like the frame rate, the stutters, the menu.
The menu takes a million years to navigate.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like the Pokemon Company doesn't have money to invest in the game, but if they
know the Pokemon Company got money.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mad one, because it doesn't feel as polished as it should for the game that it is. If they polished it up, then it would be like a really amazing game to me, but right now it's just like good to very good, if you get what I'm saying. Like I really like the gameplay, like the fact that it's Pokemon, the fact that it is a MOBA, and the fact that it is quite accessible and it's a Nintendo Switch game. I think one of the things that they should really get like props for is that they've taken those controls and just put them in there, and they work pretty well. Like you don't really think too much about your controls. There might be a couple of times where you're targeting someone and it doesn't target the right target, but other than that, like it's kind of second nature for like you're doing your abilities and stuff like that. I wish that one of the things that they did try to remedy was like the communication on it. There doesn't seem to be like many players like communicating, so when you go into a match, if someone's just being like a hassle, then the game's basically over for you. So you're sitting in that game for 5 minutes, but then that also kind of prays to like its good points, because in other like RTSs, or no, not RTSs, in the MOBAs, you'll be sitting in that match for like 40 to 20 minutes with someone just like just going ham. Well, not going ham, but just being like trolly and stuff like that. So with this being shorter games, it doesn't feel so impactful. You're just straight back in there. You feel like you're still getting your rewards, but when you're getting stomped, you're getting stomped by the enemy team, and that snowball effect is like part and parcel of like MOBAs. So yeah.
I will just jump in and say that there is an in-game ping system where you can communicate and reply to the pings, but it is not taught to the player at all. There is not even, to my understanding, a tutorial for it. I think you press up on the D-pad and then you use an analog to say what you want to do. But because it's not taught to you, no one uses it. And it's something that you need to go out of your way to memorize, because you need to do that instantly when you know what you need to say. So you need to know what up is, what to the right is, what diagonal up is on the ping map, which is, it's going to take some time to learn, and without it being taught to players is a problem.
Yeah, that's it. That's something I was going to sort of comment on. Like, the interesting thing is, I mean, it's quite strange how they sort of done the tutorials, because on one hand it is like my first MOBA in that it's very sort of accessible in that regard. Like, it's definitely easier to pick up. But interestingly, the stuff I know they can't cover every single aspect in tutorials and stuff, but it's quite interesting when you think about the stuff they teach you. They teach you some of the basic, things like where you get the buffs from, how you can like use your moves, and how you can kind of like level up and stuff. But you would think that, especially given the typical audience, like, okay, cool, there are fans of Pokemon that maybe have never experienced MOBAs before, they're going to jump in and be like, I love Pokemon. At no point does the tutorial teach you what a MOBA is, or like the actual kind of flow for it. Like, it's never like, so that's interesting. What I obviously found on day one is that a lot of people, you could very easily tell if they'd never played this kind of game before, because you had everyone either jump in between different lanes. Someone's like 1 second they're in top lane, then they respawn, they decide to go bot lane, then they respawn, they're in the jungle. Like, people are running around different places. Like, the game doesn't tell you, for example, that in your battle menu you can actually go to the bottom and it will tell you what the recommended lane is for your character. That in itself is a very useful thing to learn. I just think, like, because they had some interesting tutorials in there, but I feel like one thing that the game could benefit from is just a very, very basic like MOBA theory. Like, hey, when you start, pick a lane, stay here. When you're farming things, don't overcommit so that you go and get killed and then you get farmed. And, just some stuff like that, just some basic stuff. I think they've overlooked that slightly, because when you think about the typical audience of people that have played Pokemon and have come from Pokemon fans to this, they're probably going to be kind of quite like, I don't know what's going on. So that's why a lot of the matches can be like very, very hit or miss. I don't feel like I've ever had like, I mean, maybe you guys have. I haven't had any close matches. I've either had like, we either completely stomp the team, or we get completely stomped, just because there doesn't seem to be any...
I've had close matches as well.
Okay, alright, okay. Mine have been pretty one-sided.
Well, that's the thing. Can we talk about the legendary, the Zapdos in the middle?
Sure.
So Zapdos spawns near the end of the match, the last few minutes of the match. If you destroy Zapdos, it's like a difficult creature to kill. It has a lot of life. You need multiple people, or you need to be a very strong character that can solo kill things. I think Gengar might be the only one, because he's very strong. If you defeat Zapdos, it applies like a debuff to all of the enemy goals, which is like their towers if you're a League of Legends player.
Yeah, defense are removed,
disables them, so they no longer heal or get the shield when the enemy team are under their goalpost. But it also means that you can just press X and instantly score without having to charge it up. It also gives, I believe, your whole team 20 points each. And if they already have scored, points before that, then they can hold up to 50 by the end of the game. So what ends up happening is whichever team defeats the Zapdos usually all has 40 or 50 points each, and then they just run to your base and all score, and then on top of that you get double score. So effectively, if you do not have a 500 point lead on the enemy, if they take the Zapdos and all score, which is very hard to stop them because they just have to run to the goalpost, ignore you, and just press X, then they win hands down, as long as their team is competent enough to do that after the kill, as long as they don't just start team fight and they just run to the goal. So it's like this weird place where you can be winning all game, you can be stomping them, you can have most of their goalposts down, then something goes wrong, they get Zapdos, they all score, and you lose. And that is the most feels bad thing ever. But I mean, if you have the lead up till that point, you probably have level advantage and more map control because you've taken down their goalposts. So is that on you for letting that happen, you and your team?
I mean, I think that's the way it's designed, right? That's the way that it's designed. It's designed to make sure that there's a way for the people to come back, and it doesn't. People don't just snowball to victory, right? But most of the time, with Zapdos, I've been seeing the team that's in the lead anyway just get the Zapdos and then just get even more score. So I don't think it necessarily it definitely can swing the match, but I don't think it swings the match as much as you're making it sound like.
I think it definitely does. It definitely does swing. It is the defining thing of 90% of the games that you play. I can say that all of the games I've played.
What I'm saying is the team that's in the lead is probably going to get the Zapdos and win. Not the team that is losing, because the team that's in the lead usually has, as you said, the level advantage and the map control.
I agree with you. The problem is that when you're playing with solo or duo in a 5-man team, even if you're winning by that point, you always tend to have one or two players that no matter what's going on the map, if Zapdos has spawned, they're just trying to solo it before like the team shows up. And I've also had countless games, I'm talking like literally every other game, where Zapdos comes up, everyone runs middle, you know, it's like a standoff, it's like, oh, who's going to go in first? And then all of a sudden, the Cinderace or the Venusaur on your team just starts attacking the legendary bird, which then aggroes it. They're using all their cooldowns on it, and then the enemy team just jumps on you because like we're basically 4v5 and one of our guys is like distracted. And so that's the symptom of playing with randoms, right? It goes how it goes, but like that, because it's such a pivotal part, it feels so bad when like it's not played right.
I do think it's one of those things where I can 100% see what you're saying. I definitely do think it's, it was, well, without question, it was a conscious design choice, because I feel like given the accessible nature of this specific like MOBA, it's kind of like blue shells in Mario Kart, right? Like it's Nintendo's ethos behind it. It's like no matter how far, you might have the biggest lead in the world, but if someone dunks a blue shell on you, you can still come back, right? It's like, so, and I feel like that's probably, in something like League, that might be like a little bit more like, well, that obviously is more hardcore. There might be a bit like, well, if you got an advantage that much, there's probably no saving you. Whereas in this situation, they probably do want people to avoid people being discouraged, where they're just like, you know what, if the kids are playing it for the first time and they're just like, oh, I'm losing, but there's something they're like, oh, I've still got a glimmer of hope. So I can definitely see what you're saying. It's maybe the solution for it in the future could almost be, say, like, you know how League has different kinds of modes you can play. Maybe they have like a slightly more sweaty mode where the effectiveness of Zapdos is much less. Whereas meanwhile, when you've got like the kind of the casual pool, it's just like, yep, you know what, grab Zapdos at the end. Much like in Mario Party, where you can suddenly just steal everyone's stars at the end of the game, right? I feel like that's definitely their casual side of it. So maybe if it gets a good following, they might try and balance it for like ranked stuff. I don't know. But yeah.
I will say though, there is also the quick mode, which has another map in it. So there are actually two maps, and the quick mode is like,
I actually haven't tried that one yet.
It's a totally different game mode, at least on the other map. It's like it's similar in that there's like two lanes and a middle part, but it's a lot smaller, and there's like healing berries all over the lanes, and it's basically just go ham on the enemy. It's like a shorter match. It's fairly fun, just for a quick bit of fun. But I've been playing some ranked as well. I've got to expert ranked, which sounds really prestigious, but if you look at every rank in the game, it follows the same structure as like new League of Legends, where it's like iron, bronze, silver, gold, plat, diamond. So like expert is actually like silver rank if you think about it like that.
Oh no.
But interestingly, because if you guys haven't tried ranked, you don't have placement games and then you get a rank. Instead, you start at beginner, and every time you win, you get like a notch, and then you rank up that way. So you have to start at the bottom and climb, which I actually I like that. I like not having to worry about the placements, and if I've done well in those 3 games, it's going to decide my fate. It's like you just play your way up, and you get as high as you are good. So I have to say, I have been enjoying ranked a bit more than standard. I think that as you climb higher, people are taking it a bit more seriously, like that they are communicating what lane they're going to, picking their role for the appropriate character, and that sort of stuff. Whereas in standard, it's just like everyone just locks in, and it's the round starts, and people just run in whatever direction they want to go. Yeah. Shall we talk about the items then, and all of the like the pay stuff?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I mean, obviously you probably got like more of a kind of exposure to that anyway, but yeah, just to kind of give people sort of some context. So everything in game you can earn organically, but what the biggest gripe for a lot of people seems to have been that the rate at which you earn currency organically is quite slow, as is always the case in these free-to-play games. Like, it's designed to be slower because they want to incentivize your purchase. So obviously, do you want to kind of detail like the kind of items you can buy? Because I have like the only thing that I've done in the shop is buy myself a fancy Greninja costume because I wanted to be a Power Ranger. So that's it. I haven't actually checked the item stuff.
So yeah, there's like cosmetics for your character, your trainer, if you will, clothing stuff, purely cosmetic. There's cosmetic for your monsters, skins and things like that. Obviously, still purely cosmetic. You can actually buy the Pokemon themselves, which is how like MOBAs have, or at least League of Legends has always functioned, where it's like, a new hero gets added, you can buy it if you want. You can use your saved up free-to-play currency, or you can just, buy it with real money. So that sort of same features in there for the Pokemon. But then going back to what we said before about the equivalent of like the League of Legends runes, you have items, and you can have up to 3 items per Pokemon, and they do things like increase your basic attack damage, increase your crit damage, increase your special damage, give you a shield when you do your ultimate move, gain more attack when you score goals, and all kinds of stuff like that, right? So you can buy the items themselves with the in-game currency or the premium currency, but then there's also the layer of upgrading them. So every item can be upgraded to level 20. And the thing is, when you apply an upgrade to the item, it does 2 things. It increases the stat bonus of the item, but then at level 10 and at level 20, they get like a spike that it changes the power of the item. So one way to sort of simplify it is you have an item called there's like a headband item that makes you deal like a percentage of the remaining health per hit of the enemy monster. Pokemon. I got Monster Hunter on the brain.
Yeah.
And when you hit level 10 or 20, that percentage increases. So it might be like 1% at level 1, at level 10 it's like 2%, and at level 20 it might be like 3 or 4%, right? So in addition to that, it gives you like plus attack as well. So you're leveling up, you're getting an extra attack, you hit 10, now you have a bigger bonus, you level it up again, more stats, and then hit 20, and now it's maxed out, and you have the biggest bonus you can get. The thing is, you can upgrade these with the like in-game currency that you get through just playing, right? And you can actually trade in the shop your tickets, which is another free-to-play currency, to buy more of the upgrade items to upgrade them. So it's like a cycle to upgrade it. And I haven't paid anything to upgrade them. And I've been just playing, myself. And I've got all my items to like level 10, level 12, which, is still a ways away from 20, but that's about the free-to-play extent that I can get to right now, because the currency that you gain in free-to-play is capped per week. So every week there's a certain amount, and every day it's tied into like your dailies and stuff as well. You can only get a certain amount. It's not like every single match you get currency. Every single match you get XP, but you need to do the challenges and the dailies and stuff like that to get the currency. And this is where people are saying that the pay to win is coming in, right? That you can literally just like pay money, buy a load of the upgrade items, max out all your items to 20, jump in a match, and everyone in the match has like level 1 to 10 right now items. So you have a straight up statistical like advantage in your stats, which means that in an exact 1v1 scenario with the same people with the same items, you will win because your items are higher level, as long as you are like good at the game, right?
Know what you're doing. Yeah.
I will say from my experience, I don't think it's a game-breaking difference, but I could just be naive to it. I feel like having level 10 items or level 12 items at my point right now isn't a world of difference from people that have level 20 items. There is still a disadvantage there, and that freaking sucks.
Well, that was my thought process. I was thinking like it'd be interesting like 2/6 to sort of see what you think as well, because my thought process, the way that you described it, Paradise, is that obviously if you've got a cap and you've like the game's only been out like a week, right? So if you've already done 10 to 12 on some items in the first week, I would imagine that the XP gains will be exponential, so it might take you longer to get to 20. Yeah. But I would imagine that you kind of get to a point. So like 2/6, like if you get to a point where someone has bought to 20 and then the other person like 3 weeks later finally catches up, like is that, from like your perspective, is that too big a deal?
I don't think the whole thing is justifiable at all, right? These games are like free to play. And statistical boost shouldn't be necessarily a thing in the game, especially when they've got 2 more points of like transactions, right? You can either buy characters, you can buy cosmetics for your stuff as well. So you got those 2 points, and that's where it's traditionally been in for like MOBAs. You buy your characters or you buy cosmetics for your characters, but they're looking at a model and they're trying to be extra greedy with it. They're like, okay, this is this gameplay aspect. We know that people are going to want this. Let's put this in here so that you can have an advantage. And it's not even just like there's one item that does one particular thing, or it's just like your base stats. There's loads of different items that do loads of different things that will give you an advantage during a match. And while you're saying it doesn't give you a massive advantage, it still gives you an advantage. So if 2 evenly skilled players meet on the field, which is going to be kind of hard anyway, right? But like theoretically, if 2 evenly skilled players meet on the field, the one with the better items is going to win that out. So if you get to a top level, are you losing because you're bad at the game, or are you losing because somebody's got better items than you?
Yeah,
and that's where like pay to win comes in. Really, like better items is not too bad if you know that you can get there like over time, which is going to happen because the way that people play and stuff like that. But the fact that is that someone can just pay for that on day one and kind of make up that gap between you and your skill level, essentially. So items is a thing that you always gonna have that kind of advantage, but I don't know, paying for it kind of feels kind of scummy in a way, and I'm just like, not really my thing. Like, I don't. Pay to win doesn't impact me basically, but. Because,
I feel like that's always been our stance, though, right? We've always been like, we don't mind, but like, you know, as much as it would be nice to earn them in game, like we've never really had any issues with buying costumes. Like we're always like, if it's cosmetic, then at the end of the day, it doesn't harm anyone. But like we've always had a pretty sort of standard stance on just like, if you're paying for power, even in the slightest of bits, it just doesn't sit right. But it was just the interest. But it was, I just thought it was quite an interesting observation, and maybe feel like those of you guys that are watching can kind of like sort of give us your thoughts in the comments, because the interesting thing is there are some games that when they come out, maybe it's because of the company behind it or things like that, but there are some games that when they come out, the second anyone gets wind of pay to win, it is like unanimously everyone's like, this is the worst thing ever. You have literally just like taken a doo-doo on my front lawn. Like people get super, like rightfully so, people will just write it off without question. But then the interesting thing is there have been a couple of games recently, namely Genshin Impact and obviously now Pokemon Unite, where the seemingly same issues, people don't seem to be taking as big an issue with it. And I'm just trying to sort of get it from the point of view, because again, like, I've only bought cosmetic stuff. I've just been playing organically. I don't really feel like I'm just an average player. So I'm like, I haven't really got to a battle where I'm like, I've lost because of items. Like, so I would never know. But I just find it quite interesting to sort of like look at it from the outside and just be like, what is the difference here where people are seemingly acknowledging it but not minding it? Meanwhile, if it was in a game like Call of Duty or a loot-based game or anything like that, people would straight up just be like, I am not even touching this game with a barge pole. Like, that's the thing I'm trying to get an understanding of, really.
Yeah, I think people have just got used to it now, right? It's got to that point where they're just like tired of like really fighting the fight for like microtransactions and stuff like that, because it's so prevalent nowadays that it's a kind of a crazy one. But the other thing that you really, really need to drill down on is this. Like with other MOBAs or whatever, that's aimed at like an older crowd. With this, it's like Pokemon, and
that
it's
is
aimed
true.
at like a younger demographic, and they're like, see those costumes, see all of
Mm.
that stuff. Let me just get that money out of little Timmy.
Yeah,
I'm
waiting for the story to hit the media in a few weeks, where it's like, little Timmy spent $5,000 on costumes on Pokemon Unite, and someone's like, my credit card.
Pokemon Unite must be banned.
But I wanted Greninja. But I wanted Greninja's Power Ranger suit, mate.
I think there's an important distinction though, because we've talked about this briefly the other day. Genshin is at least PvE, right? Even though like you can buy the weapons and the characters that are like rarer and better with the random loot chance gacha system, at least you're not fighting other people like on the other end. Whereas in Unite, you know, it's another player that's getting screwed if someone is, you know, juicing up all their items and going into a standard match where people probably aren't doing that, you know, which that is a feels bad moment, you know.
Yes.
That being said, on one side, I think that there is fixes that they could do that wouldn't even be that difficult. I think if they made it so that like ranked games, everyone had maxed items, like no matter what your item level is, then bam, even playing field, you're not paying to win in ranked. That's at least one like uber simple fix that would at least make the competitive game mode actually not pay to win, which I think for me that would be satisfactory. There is also the fact that, you know, League had the rune system. I don't know what system it has now. I've not really played it recently. So League had like a similar system at least where you are buying, you know, runes that give you stat bonuses, and people didn't. I don't remember people hating the rune system that much. They did change it, so maybe there was a lot of backlash for it. But from my memory, I think it was just like people were just like, I've got my rune build, it's fine. Like once they got it, so it seems like they didn't mind the free to play chase to finish it out, but.
It's gone now though. Like it's not there
it's
anymore.
gone now.
Yeah.
So obviously didn't work out like all that much if they've like removed it.
Maybe the other fix, like you were sort of saying, they were like fix they could be made. I mean, again, it still doesn't like like excuse it, but if they wanted to like keep that model in, if they just, I know this obviously goes against the nature of typical free to play games, but if they at least remove the cap and then someone was like, all right, I'm just gonna play my games and just level my items no matter what, then I guess it wouldn't be so bad. It is still there, but I guess in that respect, like, because that's where the issues with these games always come. It's like you can play, you can do it. They will always say, oh yeah, you can do it naturally, but you have a weekly cap, so you are physically forced to wait. Whereas if you were just like, I am just really enjoying this game and I'm going to play for like 3 days straight and level my items to 20 because I want to, and this guy paid for it to get to 20, it's like, okay, it's still a bit rubbish, but at least you're not held back as that result. But then yeah, that's I guess that's the kind of wombo combo, right? It's like you have to wait. Yeah. And someone that's paying doesn't have to. So maybe there's, if they were just like, no, we're going to keep items where we refuse to change this, maybe they could just like remove the weekly cap and then probably wouldn't be so bad.
Because that's what's incentivizing people to spend money on the game. Like they've got no incentive to do it. Like people are obviously, it's Pokemon. People are going to be spending money on this game anyway. They probably made like millions and millions of pounds off of this game within the first like weeks that it's been released or whatever. So what's their incentive to take away the mechanics that are earning them more money than probably like character purchases or whatever, because there's finite amount of character purchases in the game, but people are going to want to upgrade X amount of items for X amount of builds. It's probably earning them like a whole load.
I hate that that's a reality so much. People should be spending most of their like money if they want to on buying skins and buying the characters to unlock and at least the characters rotate every week. There's a free rotation just like League has, where I'm free to play. I've just got Pikachu, but every week I get access to like 4 new characters because there's a rotation. Cool. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't like that. I think that there is also a lack of like costumes. There's not that many costumes. So it's not
I'm guessing they're going to bring them in, right?
Exactly, yeah. Now, I just do want to quickly say, because there's something that I hate about like League of Legends. There's one thing I hate about it, and it's when there's a whole new fancy character that looks really, really cool. They hype you up for this new character. They release him, and then he's like, or she is like uber powerful for like a week or two, and every game that has him in seems to win. Like he's just stomping, and then by the time the next character gets added in, they've done a patch and they've balanced the last character, right? And maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but I really hope that when they start adding in new Pokemon to the game, that it isn't like, oh look, they've added in Mewtwo and he's just like gonna destroy you until they nerf him, and if you want him, you're gonna buy him.
Yeah. You know what? I kind of like that, because I feel like if you are paying money for a character, you kind of want them to be busted and like for a bit. If it's busted for a week, it's just kind of like the early access beta, right? And then everybody's back on like a playing field and the cycle happens again. And it kind of keeps people new things to play around as well. Like when that character's introduced, you see more people playing with it because people think it's busted or whatever. And even if like a Pokemon's busted or like really good, doesn't mean that the player's skill is going to make up for that like most of the time anyway. But like we're saying, is this going to give that player an advantage in general and try kind of like close the gap for their skill level, but not necessarily always the case anyway.
I will say though, in other MOBAs, when you play ranked, you actually get to ban characters, so no one can pick them on either team. It's like, okay, our whole team, we hate Gengar, banned. We hate Lucario, banned. We hate Cinderace, banned. And now no one can pick them. But it doesn't have that in Unite. So that's a bigger reason of my concern of like new characters coming in and potentially like being either too strong or too weak, that you can't just ban them if it's like, dang, Mewtwo is just carrying every game, we need to ban him. Well, we can't. So I hope that they add bans into ranked as well. Maybe I'm not high enough level though. Maybe it unlocks at a higher rank and I'm not there yet.
I don't know. It feels like you want the game to be like super sweaty, but the game's a casual game. Like it's meant to be casual, and all those mechanics are from like League of Legends that are like whoa, like quite sweaty, like esports
maybe.
level stuff. So I don't think they'll bring that stuff in. Maybe in the future they'll update it if there is like Pokemon Unite like esports in the future. But
yeah, I guess it depends if it gets a big following.
Yeah, Nintendo and support in esports is not necessarily a thing. So I don't know.
Well, there's all the final thing, and you've already said this, is no matter how like. No, at the end of the day, the frame rate, there's like hitching, the menus are super slow. I think that there needs to be a performance patch of some kind, because I've never played a MOBA where there's like the frame rate and just the technical issues that sometimes happen, like, and you just get like rubber banded, and everything has like an input delay and all that kind of stuff. Like that really bugs me. But then again, like you say, it is on Switch, and it is a more casual MOBA, so I'm really keen to know what... I've not seen people commenting on the technical stuff, and I'm really keen to what other people think, because for me, I cannot ignore it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me just do something and see if this works. Guys, if there's someone in the comments that says that we hate the game, put this timestamp on it and say that we didn't hate the game, we thought that the gameplay was good, we just think that it has issues, and we don't support pay to win. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can point them to that timestamp. That sums up the video.
Yep. There we go. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That was kind of we thought we'd sort of discuss it, and obviously let us know what you guys think in the comments down below, and also do let us know, because if you guys do enjoy it and you have enjoyed seeing some of the content on the channel, I know some of you guys have been enjoying my gameplay, my progress from being rubbish to slightly less rubbish. Then if you want that to continue, do let me know, because I'm enjoying playing the game anyway. I'm kind of just sort of playing it casually on my own. I'm not obviously as far as Paradise, but if you want to see more, let us know. Or if you're just like, nope, you know what, this game is, I'm not going to touch this with a barge pole, and we'll be like, you know what, we're going to back up too. So, yeah, let us know, but that's pretty much it. So, guys, what videos can people find on your channels this week?
So today, it's kind of similar to the one that's on main channel, just talking about Rise content that's been dropping, and then I'm going to have a couple more build videos coming for you guys in the next few days, along with some like PvP stuff for stories. And then if you guys want some Unite stuff, then obviously we can do that, because, yeah, we're playing it here and there, so yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, more stories, tips, and useful, like, resources and stuff like that coming out. And I think I will do some videos on some Unite stuff, maybe just, like, talking about my experiences in Ranked, or with particular characters, or, like, the builds that I'm using with the items and stuff like that. As someone that hasn't just juiced all my items, I've kind of got an idea of what's working for each character and what's not. I do have I don't want to steal it from 2.6. 2.6, do you have a question for the people? Because I do have one as well.
I don't have any questions. I'm not the Pokemon guy. This episode has been Paradise Special. You should name it Paradise Special.
This is my time to shine. I want to say, for everyone that's been playing Unite, I want you to put in the comments, who is the stronger Pokemon in Unite, okay? The choices are Gengar, Absol, and Zeraora. Okay, which one of those three is the strongest?
Let us know.
Why is Absol like strong?
Absol will literally one-shot you no matter who you are if you have the right build. I'm not even joking.
He is absolutely the best. And on that bombshell, we're going to wrap up the discussion. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. If you want to catch more from us at HyperX Gaming, don't forget you can catch the guys TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch weekdays, playing a variety of games. If you guys want to jump in, tune in, watch, and even join in, then make sure you check them out. The links to those are in the description box down below. And of course, you can join the Discord to get involved in all of the discussions.